Hello, and welcome to the Killing Zone podcast. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. My name is Lindsay, and I like to dive into the strange and unknown. During this podcast, I will tell you stories of murder, deceit, and the macabre. Strap in and get ready for the Killing Zone. On today's episode, we will be discussing the true story of The Ghost and the Darkness, a story that inspired the 1996 film The Ghost and the Darkness, directed by Stephen Hopkins. The story is based on the true account of the Tsavo man-eaters, in which two lions preyed upon construction workers during the build of the railway bridge in Kenya, Africa. Over the course of nearly a year, these two lions took the lives of nearly 135 people. Warning: some of the contents in this podcast are graphic and not suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. The screenwriter for this film is responsible for Butch Cassidy, The Princess Bride, and The Sundance Kid. He was traveling in Africa in 1984 when he first heard the story. He became engrossed with the story and thought that it deserved a big screen treatment. It is said that the movie may have actually downplayed the gruesome events that actually happened well over 100 years ago. So let's get into the gruesome true story behind the film, The Ghost and the Darkness. In the year 1898, Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson was sent to Africa on behalf of the British government to oversee the construction of the railway bridge in the Tsavo region of Kenya, Africa. The building project was a massive operation. They employed thousands of workers, even bringing workers over from India. The railway track spanned for miles. The horrific attacks from this pair of lions began almost immediately after the arrival of Lieutenant Patterson. These attacks were also considered highly unusual because it was very unlikely for lions to hunt in pairs, and because of the fact that both lions were males. Another unlikely trait was that these two lions did not have any manes. The lions in this region had manes. Animal scientists aren't exactly sure why this is the case. The most prevalent theory suggests the harsh environment, which is incredibly dry and covered in rough, thorny bush. It could make the manes inefficient at best and debilitating at worst, so lions evolved over time to be born without them. But the more puzzling question is why? Why did these two lions attack humans without being provoked? Every single night worker were dragged from their tents and feasted upon by these two lions. They also never attacked the same area of the camp twice. While the lions occasionally engorged themselves on the remains of those they killed, for the most part, these two man-eaters didn't eat their victims. They were not killing for food, they were killing for the thrill. Since Lieutenant Patterson was in charge of the railway project, it was also his responsibility to rid the area of these two lions. But this was not an easy project. It was a massive undertaking. Most nights he would spend the night camping out in a tree, waiting for the two lions to attack. But since the construction site was so large, he wouldn't be able to tell what section the lions would target. He also tried to take the defensive, but his efforts were in vain. He had the workers help him set up barricades made from thorny brush and around the campsite. The lions still found their way around these. Small fires were ignited around camp in a bid to scare off the lions, but they remained unbothered by these fires. Curfews were even set for the workers, but this made no difference since the two lions were attacking the workers inside of their own tents. The lions' favorite tent to attack was the hospital tent. Thus, Lieutenant Patterson decided to move in a hope to stop the attacks, but the lions quickly chose a new location. As more and more bodies continued to pile up, many of the workers began to revolt against the project. They threatened to stop production of the railway until the lions were killed. During this time, India was under the British rule, and since many of the workers were brought over from India and were not native to this region, they had no clue how to defend themselves from these two murder machines. If they tried to defend themselves, the lions proved far more cunning than the typical big cats that even the locals knew. Then a legend quickly spread around the camp that these two lions were no ordinary lions. Instead, they were the vengeful ghosts defending their territory from the railway system and, in effect, the encroaching British Empire. The workers named the two lions Ghost and Darkness. Lieutenant Patterson had the workers threatening him to quit working and had the British government breathing down his neck to get this job completed. So he had to get crafty with his approach on how to take down Ghost and Darkness. One of his most well-known attempts at capturing the beast were actually recreated in the film. Patterson ended up transforming an abandoned railway cart into a trap box. 3 workers volunteered to be bait. They were armed with rifles and locked themselves behind steel bars within the trap. They used animal remains to bait the lions. The trap ended up working on one of the lions. The lion was drawn into the car, which triggered trapdoors and locking it inside with the workers. But the trap was not a total success. In the moment, the lion began to panic and lunge itself against the steel bars where the workers were. The bars began to give out from the weight of the lion. The workers fired every single round of ammo and missed every shot. Instead, they shot the trap door, allowing it to open, and the lion escaped. At this point, Patterson requested help from the British troops to take down the 2 lions. Britain was hesitant to send troops. They feared that this would make them look weak. But they ended up sending a small squadron of Indian soldiers known as sepoys. Around this time, things started turning around for Lieutenant Patterson. Him and the soldiers built a scaffold in the middle of the area where Ghost and Darkness were known to stalk. They used the scaffold as a hunting stand, using the remains of the dead donkey to lure the lions out of hiding. Patterson sat atop his hunting stand and waited. That night, the first lion came from the bush, and Lieutenant Patterson was able to shoot the lion a few times before it escaped. Just a few nights later, the lion returned, and this time, Patterson had a stronger rifle and was able to take down the lion. With one lion down, workers started to worry less. But hunting and taking down the second lion would not be an easy feat for Lieutenant Patterson. He utilized the same technique as he did with the first, but only injured the second lion before it escaped. For up to 2 weeks, Patterson was unable to track down the lion. Eventually, Patterson and the troops were able to track down the lion and shot it a few more times, but again, it escaped. But not for long this time. The next day, Patterson took down the second lion, finally putting an end to the months-long ordeal. Now, with the lions dead, the work of the railway was soon completed, and Lieutenant Patterson returned home to London with the bodies of the lions. He would go on to write a book called The Man-Eaters of Tsavo. This book was used heavily in the making of the movie. To this day, scientists are still unsure what the cause of these attacks were. The bodies of the lions were donated to the Chicago Field Museum of Natural History by Patterson. Scientists studied the bodies and concluded that bad teeth may actually be the blame for the lions' unusual behavior. Allegedly, their teeth were soft, much like zoo lion, and thus unable to catch prey and tear through the bone. One of the lions also had an infected root, which most likely made hunting incredibly painful, making the humans an easier prey for these 2 lions. The actual death toll is unknown, but Patterson claimed that these 2 lions took the lives of 135 workers, but records put the official number at 30 to 40. Great Britain did have reason to undermine these numbers to maintain their image. If you're interested in the film, you can watch it on Hulu or YouTube with a Primetime subscription. Just keep in mind that there may be events and people added into the film that were not there in real life. Well, killers, if this story brought one thing up for me, it would be to be aware of your surroundings. I think if they were able to pull the workers out of the camp until the lions were located, they could have prevented many deaths. But always be aware of your surroundings. You never know what kind of danger or creature could be lurking close by, waiting to take your life, or waiting to eat you up as a yummy little snack. Thank you for listening to this ad-free episode of The Killing Zone. I hope you return to listen to the next episode. This is Lindsay signing off. Stay happy and stay healthy, killers. Also, before we go ahead and drop off of this episode, just wanted to give a little bit of a few announcements out here. Going forward, just until we get some more listenership, all of our episodes will be ad-free moving forward. Also, be on the lookout. We are thinking about adding in a creepypasta segment as well as an urban legend segment to the podcast. So, I mean, if that's your cup of tea, just let me know. Anyways, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go follow us on TikTok with the Killing Zone Lindsay. Again, that's the Killing Zone Lindsay on TikTok, as we do have some lives that we go on. Thank you so much for being fans of the podcast, and I'm happy to have every single one of you killers here. Again, this is Lindsay signing off. Stay healthy and stay happy, killers.